Hello, everybody, and welcome to our pre-arrival webinar this morning. We're just waiting a few minutes to allow all of the participants to join. We apologize for a little delay this morning. I know we usually start at 8:30, but we'll get started with the presentation in a little bit. So thank you all for your patience. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our pre-arrival webinar this morning. We're just going to wait another 30 seconds or so just to make sure that all of the participants had a chance to join us. And then we're going to get started with this webinar. Okay, it looks like most of us are here. Once again, hello and welcome to our pre-arrival webinar. My name is Karina Ivanyan. I'm an intake advisor here at the International Students and Programs Office, also known as ISPO at UC San Diego. And ISPO is one of the units in the Global Initiatives Department. And today we're going to be focusing on graduate student funding. I'm not the only presenter today, so I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves as well.
Hello, everyone. So wonderful to see so many people here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Shauna Slapiota. I use pronouns she and hers, and I work in the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs. Specifically, I coordinate new graduate student orientation for our office. So we are busy planning lots of fun events for you all as we look towards the next academic year. And I am going to pass it off to my colleague, Laura.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Jimenez. I work in the financial support unit in GEPA, although it's known as GEPA, but it's the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctorate Affairs. I'm going to turn it over to Felicity.
Hello, everyone. I also work in GEPA. My name is Felicity Dominguez-Howell, and I am a fellowship advisor in the financial support unit. And Florence?
Hello, everyone. My name is Florence Guthrie. I am one of the graduate fellowship disbursements coordinators within the financial support unit in GEPA. Our main focus is the post-award side of graduate fellowship financial support. And Mark?
Good morning. I'm Mark Adams. I'm the supervisor for student accounts and client services within the Student Financial Solutions Office. We're basically all things billing. Anything you have to do with your student account, you would come through us. And lastly, Charmaine.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Charmaine Samahin-Mans. I'm the Student Affairs Director in the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department. And I'm here as a department representative to help answer any questions that students may have because we all work together here at UC San Diego. So each department works with GEPA and with Student Financial Solutions and with ISPO as well to make sure our students have a good experience here. And we want to make sure you get all your questions answered today. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your introductions. Before we get started with the content of today's presentation, a few housekeeping things. You are in listen-only mode, which means you can hear us, but we can't hear you. And this is where the Q&A feature on your screens becomes super important because this is going to be the main way we're going to accept questions today. So throughout the webinar, if you have any questions you'd like to ask our panelists, please feel free to direct it there. If by any chance we haven't had a chance to answer your questions and you'd like to connect with ISPO, please go to icontact.ucsd.edu. And there's a few ways in which you can get in touch with our office. And lastly, we are recording, so this webinar will be available on inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. It usually takes us up to 10 business days to get these processed, but as soon as they're available, they'll be you will be able to watch them on inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. And again, this is just additional kind of information about that Q&A feature I've mentioned. So you can type in your questions and then our panelists will either answer them live at the end during a live Q&A session, or they will type their answers to you in that feature as well. A quick reminder in regards to ISPO website and some of the first steps checklist. If you haven't had a chance to review our inewstudent.ucsd.edu website, I highly encourage you to visit it and just kind of check the general information in regards to the processes on how to request your immigration documents, any pre-arrival and upon arrival information that you may need to succeed here at UC San Diego. So if you go to inewstudent.ucsd.edu, please click on graduate students and it'll take you to this page where we have divided the process into different steps. As well, in addition, right now is a great time to start requesting your documents through iportal.ucsd.edu. And this is all for ISPO. I'll pass it over to Shauna.
Hello, I just have a few reminders from our graduate admissions team that I want to mention today. You're highly encouraged to log into the account that you used for your graduate application to view your application portal and check to see if the statement of legal residence is listed as a to-do item for you. So this form is not required for all programs, and the way that you'll know if it is required is within the portal. And if you do have to submit your statement of legal residence, please do so quick or soon. Just another reminder, students are provisionally admitted. Most students are provisionally admitted at this time. It's important to note that this should not impact your ability to get immigration documents. So you can still go through the iPortal and follow all those same steps, but it does mean that you will have to provide official documentation to the graduate admissions office later on, and you can find a list of all of those documents again in your application portal. There's a section for pending admissions documents, and in a moment we're going to look at a screenshot so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about there. And if you have any questions about any of this information, please email gradadmissions@ucsd.edu. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the chat to the portal as well as the grad admissions contact email. So this is the portal that I mentioned, and you can see on the left-hand side is where you'll see what forms are required. You'll also see the section for pending admissions documents. That's where you might see transcripts or test scores that must be submitted to our office. I also want to draw your attention to the highlighted portion. These are links that will take you to the admitted students section of our website. So kind of similar to ISPO, we have a checklist of items for all new grad students to complete. So I highly encourage you to check that out. And I'm going to put a direct link also in the chat so that you can get that information quickly and take action on those items that you need to take. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues in the financial support unit.
Okay, hello again. My name is Laura Jimenez. I'm the Graduate Employment Coordinator at GEPA. This presentation will cover graduate student financial support information and resources that graduate students should be aware of. Additionally, we will provide some general information about student roles and responsibilities as they relate to different types of financial support you may receive while at UC San Diego. Okay, the department from which you earn your degree is called the Academic Home Department or Home Department. The Home Department for each student will be able to determine the student's eligibility for financial support, gives approval for other departments to hire their students, and submits fee remission requests. the graduate coordinator in your home department should be your primary resource for all financial support matters. However, there are also some staff members in GEPA's financial support unit who may also be able to assist with your questions. Now that we covered home department's responsibilities, we will discuss GEPA's financial support and resources. Our next presenter will be Felicity.
Good morning again, everyone. My name is Felicity and I am the Fellowship Advisor here at GEPA. I'm going to walk you through graduate fellowships. And when considering which fellowships to apply for, it's important to know that there are two kinds of fellowships. The first type is intramural. In short, it means that this money is coming from UCSD. The funds are from an internal source. Some of you may have already had fellowships from your respective departments. That money is considered intramural funding. The second type of funding is extramural. This means that the money is coming from an entity outside of the university. These external funds come from a corporation like Google, government like National Institutes of Health, or nonprofits, American Heart Association. Many intramural fellowships do not have the citizenship requirement that many federal extramural fellowships do have. To find out more information about intramural fellowships and to talk about, to find out more about these intramural fellowships, talk to your department coordinator. Your department coordinator will also have more information about discipline-specific opportunities. Next slide. Once you know the difference between an intramural and extramural funding, the first thing you need to do is narrow down your search. Ask yourself, what exactly do I need money for? Do I need money for training? Do I need money for research abroad or research here in the United States? Also consider where you are on track to your degree plan. Am I in the pre-doctoral stage of my career? How many more years to completion? Have I advanced to candidacy? All of these questions will generate keywords for you to search for. At this time, you are all at the pre-doctoral stage, so make sure to include that as you search for more opportunities, you can match your purpose to the purpose of the opportunity being presented. Make sure to identify the kind of award you are looking for. These categories include travel, training, research, and general scholarships. Next slide. Oh, thank you. Now that you know what to look for when searching for fellowships, let's consider some tips for when you're applying. Read the whole program announcement. Create an outline of what the purpose of the opportunity is, eligibility requirements, application components, the award package, and what your obligation will be as the fellow of that fellowship. Be hyper aware of the eligibility requirements so that you can know with 100% certainty that you will apply for the opportunity. And if you have a question about this eligibility, you should ask the agency directly. Itemize the application materials and see how many people need to be involved in your application. This includes letters of recommendations. Also let your recommenders know as soon as possible. It's good to supply your recommenders with an opportunity to create a great letter of recommendation that's tailored to this opportunity you are applying to. Some obligations may require reporting Some obligations may require reporting. A letter to the donor, maintaining certain academic status, become aware of what will be expected of you. Be aware that if you are awarded, you will receive this fellowship and the agency will pay your tuition and fees, or maybe they'll only pay 60% of your tuition and fees. It's ideal to know the award package. Be on the lookout for who can submit the application. Some applications require institutional submission or a signature from the business official. Some of the buzz terms to know are authorized organizational representative. If you do see these words on an email, if If you do see these words or titles, please email our department as soon as possible to help you with your application process. We also do have issues where the applications have to be submitted to us prior to the funding so that you'll get your funding in a timely manner. So if you're applying to something, please always contact our office and let us know so that we can be ready and available for your funding to take place at the same time it needs to be awarded. Next slide. This slide is giving you detailed information about graduate student support policies, employment opportunities, and more can be found on the graduate division website. This website was designed with current and continuing students in mind and has a wealth of information. The collab page, the fellowship collab page, has resources and tools available to you that can help you prepare for any and all fellowship applications. It has just so many things that are just kind of, it's very widespread in regards to how it can help you. It even helps with interview technique, questionnaires. If you would like funding, there's UCLA Grapes. If you would like employment, please check out the Handshake page. And there's also fellowship database accessible to you through Pivot. GEPA's website is always continuing to advertise. We also have the interns and student workers. They are on the social media pages. Please check the Facebook. I'm sure there's an Instagram. Check everything. You will find these being offered online, and there are QR codes and links. So please look for us in those links. Next slide. On this slide, you will find a list of fellowships that you may want to look into. You can find some of these opportunities on the graduate division website, like the Chancellor's Interdisciplinary Collaboratories. I know a lot of people are still asking about that. Keep in mind that that did sunset, and then there are other opportunities such as the Tyler Center Fellowship, the Friends of the International Center. Others you can find by searching the web. A special note about the Graduate Fellowship Initiative. This is something created by the Graduate Division. If you have a fellowship and you must be awarded the fellowship first, it's perhaps provides a stipend but not tuition and fees, or vice versa. The Graduate Division may be able to supplement your existing source in order to provide a more holistic award. Check out the Graduate Division fellowship page for more details. Also, don't forget to look at fellowship opportunities that come from your home country. This is for students that are going to study abroad. Look into whether you have a spouse or your parents, or you're currently employed. A lot of employers have fellowships. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Florence.
Sorry, can I just chime in here right before we move to the next section? So again, my name is Charmaine. I work in the electrical and computer engineering department here at UC San Diego. And I just wanted to, as a department representative, I just wanted to make sure everyone understands that if you're getting financial offer from your home department, you will get a letter from your department outlining the terms of the financial offer that you're getting. So in addition to all the fellowships that have been discussed here, there are also some students who get offers of financial support from their home departments. So for instance, in the ECE department for our electrical and computer engineering students, we provide financial support to our PhD students, but unfortunately not to our MS students. So our MS students are considered self-funded students, and they do not get offers of financial support, but if you're a PhD student, then you do. So you just need to look carefully at the letter that you're sent from the ECE department or from your other home department to make sure you understand the terms of the financial offer that you're getting from your home department. So that's in addition to these other fellowships that have been discussed here. Thanks.
Thank you, Felicity and Charmaine. Next slide, please. Thank you. Because we are post-award, most of our processes take place after a student has been awarded a fellowship. We have several fellowships that we also administer, meaning that our team sets up the stipends and fee payments and loads them into the payment system. But we also review and process the stipends and fee payments for the fellowships that the home departments administer, meaning that the department graduate coordinators are the ones who set up the stipend and fee amounts, and our team processes their support. When we review, we're really checking for three main things. In order to be eligible for financial support, a student must be enrolled full-time for the quarter, be in good academic standing, and be within their support time limits. If all three of these criteria are met, our team processes the stipend and fee payments. Stipends are processed each month and they pay in arrears. For example, if your fellowship states that your stipend payments will begin in September, you will receive your first stipend payment on or around October 1st. We say on or around because most students will receive their stipend payment a day or so before the first of each month. Next slide, please. Fellowship administration. The department managing the fellowship will set up the stipend and or fee payments that are a part of the award. They are also the point of contact for your fellowship advising questions. The best way to find out which office to reach out to for your fellowship questions is by checking your award letter. Here we have listed some of the most common fellowships that we see. If you are NSF-GRFP, ARCS, or San Diego Match, you can direct your questions to our unit by submitting a ticket. HHMI, T32s, and F31 are usually administered by the home department that you are in. You can reach out to your graduate coordinator with your questions via email. And sometimes the fellowship is administered by multiple departments that alternate the years of funding. For example, students who are on the TMI fellowship and the UC HBCU are supported by both GEPA and the home department. Your award letter will have the information about which department is supporting you each year, and you can reach out to the appropriate office as needed. Next slide, please. Fellowship stipend payments. Glacier paperwork is required for all international students who are receiving their first fellowship stipend. Glacier helps determine tax residency, tax withholding rates, and income tax treaty eligibility. Our unit and the Glacier and tax withholding team will initiate the Glacier process about 3 weeks before your first stipend payment date. You will be contacted via your UCSD email, so please respond as soon as possible so that we can finalize your record and issue you your stipend payment on time. You will also receive an invitation to register for direct deposit through PaymentWorks during this process, and this is how you will receive your fellowship stipend payments throughout the year. Another important thing to note is that if you become a permanent resident during the year, please reach out to the Glacier team so that they can update your status. Next slide, please. Fellowship fee payments. The department that is managing your fellowship will set up your fellowship fee payments. However, the fee payments cannot disperse to your student account until you are enrolled for the quarter. The deadline to enroll on time will be posted on the enrollment and registration calendar, which can be found on the Blink website. Enrolling on time also means that you do not incur a $50 late enrollment fee as well as a $50 late registration fee. We understand that sometimes there are administrative issues that can cause a delay in your fellowship fee payment from paying on time. As long as you have done your part and enrolled by the deadline, your department coordinator can submit a ticket on your behalf to request for the late enrollment and late registration fees to be waived, and we can assist with that. Next slide, please. How to receive fellowship stipend and fee payments on time. To sum up, in order to receive your fellowship financial support without delay, please enroll on time each quarter. In addition, when you receive the email from the Glacier team to submit your paperwork, please respond as soon as possible. Be familiar with your stipend schedule. If you have not received your stipend payment as expected on the date that is posted on the SFS website, please submit a ticket to us and include your graduate coordinator as a watcher on the case so that we can take a look. Finally, we encourage all students to enroll using the direct deposit tool on Triton Link. This is different from the direct deposit that is through Payment Works, but it's important because some international student statuses will change during the year to resident alien or permanent resident. In these instances, their stipend payments will be processed through a different system, which pays through the direct deposit on Triton Link. Next slide, please. Now I'll turn it over to my colleague, Laura Jimenez, who will talk to you about employment.
Okay, so I'm going to discuss employment. Employment at UC San Diego is another type of financial support that students may receive. There are two main broad categories of academic employment. One, research, and two, instruction and instructional support. Graduate student researchers, also known as GSRs, perform research under the direction of a faculty member or authorized principal investigator. The research may be in their home department or in another department. Students may also be appointed as one of the following ASE appointments: associate, teaching assistant, or TA, reader, tutor. In a GSR and or ASE role, students may be appointed up to 50% during the academic months and up to 100% during the summer with approval from their home department. Summer is defined as after spring quarter until the day before winter quarter. Students should always check with their home department first for employment opportunities. However, additionally, there are opportunities posted to the Job Opportunities Bulletin each year in early May, and this is located on our GEPA website. Please review employment eligibility requirements from ISPO and GEPA. For GEPA, our main eligibility requirements are being registered full-time, which is 12 units or more, to be employed above 25%, be within your support line limits, and maintain a 3.0 GPA. Depending on the type of financial support you are awarded, you may receive a fee remission or a fee payment as part of your support package. Fee remissions are benefits of employment in a graduate academic title, and that is a GSR and or ASE employment. The payment amounts are predetermined and are set by campus policy. A graduate student researcher or GSR who is employed at 25% or more for the entire quarter and meets eligibility requirements are eligible to have all mandatory tuition and fees paid as a prerequisite of their employment, which are listed in this slide. Please note, remission payment excludes all professional or program fees. For GSR employment, tuition and fee remission is called GSRTF, which is Graduate Student Researcher Tuition and Fees. Tuition and fees will be entered by your home department. Students employed as a GSR are covered under the new BR contract. New for the 23-24 academic year, experience-based salary points for GSRs. Experience is based on the number of quarters worked by a certain point at UC San Diego. The review period for increases are based on experience. It will occur once a year at the end of spring quarter. So, for example, for a new GSR, that they will be paid at salary point 1 as they have no prior experience at UCSD as a GSR. If you worked fall quarter, winter quarter, and spring quarter as a GSR at 25% or more, next academic year, you will be put at salary point 2. Salary point 3 is the highest salary point you can reach if you work as a GSR for 6 quarters at UC San Diego. Students employed as associates, TAs, readers, and or tutors are academic student employees or ASEs. An ASE who is employed at 25% or more for a full quarter are eligible for ASE partial fee remission. New for the 23-24 academic year, here are a list of fees covered under the ASE partial fee remission. Please note, ASE partial fee remission does not cover non-resident supplemental tuition and program or professional fees. Your home department will submit your fee payment if you're holding an ASC position at 25% or more for the entire quarter. Students employed as an ASC are covered under the BX contract. New for the 23-24 academic year, experience-based salary points for TA employment. Experience is based on the number of quarters worked by a certain point in time at UC San Diego. The review period for increases based on experience will only occur once a year at the end of spring quarter. So, for example, if you are a new TA, you will be paid at salary point 1, as you have no prior UC San Diego TA experience. If you work if you work fall, winter, and spring quarter as a TA at 25% or more, next academic year, you will be put at salary point 2. Students also have responsibilities to become eligible and maintain eligibility for financial support. So here's just a brief list. So students must be enrolled full-time, which is 12 units or more before our published deadlines, obtain approval from your home department to hold employment, maintain employment eligibility, pay fees by the published deadlines, and sign up for a direct deposit. And here we have a list we have 2 different types of direct deposit students should enroll in. We have stipend payments, which Flo just talked about earlier, and that's through a different system for direct deposit. And then if you are employed as an ASC or GSR, you're going to enroll in a different direct deposit system. Next slide, please. Okay, to wrap up, here's a list of our FSU staff at GEPA. At GEPA, we use a ticket system for students to submit a question to us. This ensures all questions are in one location and answered in the order they are received. Just a reminder, first check with your academic home department for questions regarding financial support, employment opportunities, and eligibility requirements. If they are unable to assist, submit a ticket to us, which is located at below at the end of this ticket, the slide. Next slide, please. Okay, that is the end for the financial support team. We will answer questions during the Q&A portion. Again, welcome to UC San Diego.
Good morning. My name is Mark Adams. I am the supervisor for student accounts within the Student Financial Solutions Office. My piece is brief today, but I just wanted to make sure you knew where to go if you need to get a hold of us. Our website is sfs.ucsd.edu, which is listed there at the bottom. That has all the information you probably would need to find out what our office does. If you do need to send a question to us, let me drop that in the chat. You would use the support portal, which is support.ucsd.edu/students. You would need your credentials, and that will send the case directly to us, and you'll be able to monitor that case on your own as well to find out what the status is. So today we're going over holds. Holds are placed on a student account for any kind of outstanding debt. We only have one real hold that affects someone who's in school, and that is our BURF hold, which is the financial hold for the bursar's office. Debts can include tuition and fees that may still be open that are past due, enrollment and registration, housing, the library, bookstore charges, parking, a lot of miscellaneous fees that can get tied into there. If they're not paid by the due date, you can't get a registration hold. We no longer have a late fee for our billing cycle, but the BURF hold will prevent you from being able to register for any kind of future quarter. So you need to make sure you get those resolved before you try to register for another quarter, or you'll run into a blockage. It's your responsibility to ensure that departments are posting your fee payments prior to the billing date. That means if you're If you're expecting a fee payment of some kind, be it a fellowship or a TA, you're not seeing it, make sure you go through your graduate coordinator to find out what the status is of that fee payment. Monitor your account. You can see it 24 hours a day on the Triton Link website. It's always live data on there. Even when fully funded, you want to make sure that you're not missing something like a library charge you might have done, or a bookstore charge that you might have made a payment at the bookstore that you charged to your account. Those are the kind of things that can kind of slip away from you. You want to make sure that you at least monitor once a month. I recommend to do it at least once a week. Doesn't take any time at all to really just look at the account real quick, look at the account summary page, and it'll tell you what the status is of your account at any given time. So again, if you have any questions for us, please reach out to us. Use that support portal. We do have we do have an email, which is sfs@ucsd.edu, but we recommend that you use the support portal because it does give all the information to us of you right from the first start. So we know who you are. We know what your account is. It pulls that account up for us immediately, which just sending us an email does not. If you do use email, always use your UCSD email that's provided to you, because that ties you to your account, at least in some fashion, versus an outside email, which we don't necessarily know who you are because of if you don't put your name and your student number within the email itself, it gets difficult to try to pinpoint you sometimes. So thank you. If you have any questions about billing, you can ask them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them, or send us a case anytime you need to, and we'll be happy to help you out.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, just to reiterate, if you haven't had a chance to ask your questions, please feel free to direct them to the Q&A feature. We're going to start our Q&A session in a little bit, but before we do that, I just quickly want to go over some information about ways that you can get engaged, not just with ISPO, but also with the campus community. A great opportunity to do it is through our I programs. So these are ISPO specialty programs that we host throughout the academic year. One of our most popular programs is Coffee Hours, where you get a chance to mingle with other UCSD students and also meet our advisors. There's usually free coffee and free pastries, and it's a really fun way to kind of connect with one another. We also have Trident Trekkers, which is our partnership with UCSD Recreation, and that program organizes trips to explore Greater San Diego area, and so much more. So if you're interested in learning more about these, please visit iprograms.ucsd.edu. We also, starting this week, are launching Grad Pals. So this is our peer mentorship program for graduate students, where you can be paired up with the current graduate student and kind of ask them any questions about their experience. So if you're interested, please visit our Grad Pals website. And I'll post the link in the chat in a little bit, but you can also use the QR code on the screen to sign up. And Grad Pals is actually, it used to be just a summer program, but we are transitioning into doing it year round. So if, let's say, you don't want to sign up for the summer, there is always an opportunity to sign up for the rest of the academic year. And then also, as always, if you're interested in finding specific events and actually registering for them, please visit iEvents calendar, which can be found on iEvents.ucsd.edu. And this is where a lot of campus partners will submit their events as well. Usually it's things that have a global focus. So it's a great way to, again, connect with a greater community. We are on social media, so if you haven't had a chance to follow us yet, please follow us. On Instagram, it's at ispo.ucsd.edu. In terms of additional resources, if you would like to learn more about COVID-19 policies as it relates to UC San Diego, please go to returntolearn.ucsd.edu. In terms of important deadlines, please make sure you submit your request for your visa documents via iPortal. And also, if you're planning on living on campus, you can also apply for on-campus housing now. We have more pre-arrival webinars coming in April. So on April 18th, we'll talk a little bit about TA-ships as well as TOEFL requirements. And then on April 25th, we'll talk about student life and getting involved on campus. The registrations are available on inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. And then in September, we're super excited to welcome you for our hybrid orientation. And then these are just a few other upcoming webinars that we have. So again, if you're looking for a recording or if you're looking to register for a webinar, please feel free to go to inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. And with that, we're gonna start our Q&A session. So I'm gonna pass it over to Shauna, who will moderate it for us.
Thank you, Karina. I've been looking at the questions as they've been coming in. Thank you so much for using the Q&A feature. I did have something I wanted to mention at the beginning. So there are a couple questions about I-20s and finances for your I-20 or for a visa. It's possible that Karina may be able to touch upon these, but it's not the focus of our session today. So I'm putting a link in the chat to the recordings from previous webinars. We had one specifically on getting your visa documents. We also had one previously on student health. So I'm not going to touch those for today because I want to focus on the questions related to finances because that is the topic of our conversation today. So the first question that I wanted to pose to our panel, anyone can jump in. There is a question, and I'm sort of doing this a little bit in sort of chronological order, but there was a question about, for a graduate international student, is it possible to get a graduate student research or teaching assistant before arriving or commencing the program? And my understanding is this is going to vary a lot from department to department, but I was hoping that our panel could touch upon this question.
Yeah, I will answer that question. So for all incoming students, they are not eligible to hold a TA position. The only opportunity is a GSR. And for GSR positions, students will need to be invited to be a GSR by a faculty member. But please note for the I-20s, students are not eligible to start. They're not able to enter the U.S. More than 30 days prior to the program start date listed on their I-20. So that's something that you would want to take a look at. So sometimes for incoming international students, sometimes they may come in September. Again, take a look at your 30 days that you're eligible to enter into the U.S. So for TA positions, there's incoming students are not eligible to hold them. For GSR positions, talk to your faculty mentor to see if there are any GSR positions that you could potentially come in September.
And just to add to that, I can speak for the ECE department. And I think a lot of departments on campus operate somewhat similarly. Faculty who are teaching classes, who are looking to hire TAs, typically want to see how the student who's interested in TAing has done in UCSD classes. So what they'll do, for fall quarter, obviously all the new students coming in don't have any academic history at UCSD, but starting in winter quarter, students who are in their first year may be able to apply for TA-ship starting in winter quarter. And at that point, you'll have some history of how you've done in UCSD classes, and you'll have had a chance to adjust to the quarter system and the workload that you have here, and maybe have had a chance to get to know some of the professors a little bit. So although, as was mentioned, that students are not eligible to TA in their first quarter, it is possible to do so after that. But again, there's nothing that is guaranteed at all, other than the financial support letters that you've gotten from the department.
I just wanted to clarify, students are eligible to teach during fall quarter. It's just summer, they're not eligible to hold employment for TA positions.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
And I also just want to mention that our next workshop is going to dive a little bit more deeply into the TA position, and we'll discuss English language proficiency requirements for that role. So that's also coming up, and I would encourage you to check that out if you are specifically interested in those requirements for the TA. There was a question about getting the links mentioned in this presentation. So just a reminder that all of our webinars are recorded and they will be posted. So if there was a link, perhaps that got missed a little bit earlier, I would recommend accessing the recording so that you can make sure that you get that information, and that you don't miss any of the links, the resources that have been shared today. So this is a little bit different from the funding, but Charmaine, I'm going to ask you to speak on allowable leave duration. In this case, it says for a fully funded PhD student, but if you could maybe speak a little bit on our leave policies.
Oh, the leave policy for students. Okay, sure. Students are eligible, if they're in good standing, they are eligible to take what's called a leave of absence. And students can apply to take a leave of absence for up to 3 quarters. So, you know, for various reasons, sometimes students decide to take a leave of absence. Sometimes it's just for 1 quarter and then they return, or for 2 quarters, and the maximum is 3 quarters. So, you know, if there are extenuating circumstances or whatever that necessitate a student taking a break from their PhD studies or their academic studies, that is a possibility. You know, without knowing details of the situation, it's hard to comment on that any further. But the one sort of point to just keep in mind is that students can't take a leave of absence in their first quarter, because that is something that has come up before. If you don't have an established UCSD record that shows that you're in good standing, you're not eligible to go on a leave of absence. But there are other options, you know, for maybe deferring your start date, or, you know, just depending on the situation, we would work with each student individually to figure out the best way to accommodate their needs.
That's perfect. I think I just want folks to know that there is a leave option. There's also deferral option if you feel that you need it. But I think that the best place to start is with your home department, and they can help you out. So there's another question here. It says, do we need to get approval from the department before or after getting a funding opportunity, like a graduate teaching position? And again, I think there's going to be some variation here, but I wanted to pose that to our panel to touch upon this.
If they need to get approval from their department. Yeah, so if you are holding a TA position in your academic home department, your department has already then authorized you to be a TA in their department. If you are applying for a TA position outside of your department, that approval process will go to your academic home department. So your academic home department will have to approve that employment. So yes, your academic home department will have to approve your TA appointments, and that will automatically be sent to them once you get a TA position at another department. That link will automatically be sent to home department.
Yes, that is correct. We get a lot of requests in our department from students who get employment offers from other departments. So the approval, as Laura mentioned, has to come from the home department. And what we do is we try to coordinate students' employment, because we do have quite a few students who hold positions in multiple departments. So we just make sure that, you know, the totality of your appointments still keeps you within eligibility limits, and that you're not accepting employment somewhere else that you're not eligible for. For example, you know, students cannot be employed more than 50% time. So if someone gets an offer for instance, you know, if you have a GSR position that's 25% time in one department, and then you get an offer for a TA position that's 50% time in another department, you would not be eligible for that, because that would put your total employment over 50% time. So you would have to make some adjustments there to make sure you're maintaining the eligibility requirements for employment.
Thank you so much. So there's a question here that says, when will the results for non-merit-based fellowships be out? Felicity, I think you touched on merit-based fellowships. In this situation, I think perhaps the student is saying need-based aid. And if I'm misunderstanding that, please send a chat. But or Felicity, or if someone else in the financial support unit could perhaps touch upon non-merit fellowships.
Hi everyone, this is Felicity. I think it's important to note, if you're getting a non-merit-based fellowship, that would have to be coming from the department who's doing some sort of a funding package for you. And so I think that might, you know, I might be kind of going in the wrong direction, but I think it might need to come from the department. So please let us know if you apply to the department for a non-merit based, or where you apply to this. Typically, wherever you apply to, that's who you will contact, whether it's a scholarship foundation or a fellowship foundation, wherever these funds are coming from or you apply to, I would contact them directly, because they're going to know where they're at in the selection process and whether or not you were awarded or if they're having delays. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with non-merit fellowships, but Felicity, I think that's really great advice, which is whomever you are applying to for the award, they would be the folks to reach out regarding the status of that award. So there is a question, I believe, about the UCLA Grapes link that was shared earlier. And it says, is the link special to UCLA students? And I just wanted to say no. UC San Diego folks, actually, I think anyone can look at the UCLA Grapes system and use it to find funding opportunities. So it is not specific, or it's not limited to UCLA students. And Felicity, is there anything else that you wanted to touch upon for grapes?
I just wanted to let everyone know UCLA manages the page and manages all of the, if you will, kind of like a directory of fellowships. It is a UC-wide funded webpage, and so these are fellowships eligible to any UC student. And apologies that they have branded it the UCLA Grapes. That's just the way it's been branded. However, it does belong to UC, and we are UCSD. So apply away and search away. You are eligible.
Thank you. Charmaine, there is a question about TARA opportunities for the ECE department. And it sounds like this person wants to start employment in their first quarter, but I'm going to ask you to speak on that a little.
Sure. Thank you, Shauna. So typically students are not eligible to TA starting in their very first quarter. And it's not a guarantee at all. We do have a lot of students who, of course, want to TA and want to get some kind of financial support and employment. None of that is guaranteed at all for MS students. PhD students, as I mentioned before, in our department are supported, are financially supported. So they would get a funding letter with their offer of admission. But for MS students, it's quite difficult to get a TA-ship before you actually begin your studies here. So more typical is an MS student who may be able to secure a TA position starting in their second quarter here. But again, that's not guaranteed at all. And even our TA-ships, our PhD students get priority for those as well. So, it is possible for MS students to work as TAs in the ECE department. I'm speaking specifically for our department. But it's not a guarantee, and it's fairly rare. So I just want to make that clear. If anyone is trying to plan on, that kind of employment and income while they're here, like I said, I mean, it's possible, but it's quite rare for MS students. And it's generally, it doesn't happen in your first quarter here, but thereafter it may be possible. And then, for a student who does get a TA position, and who does a good job and has a good record as a TA, then they may be more future instructors may be more inclined to hire them for various classes. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Can I clarify on that too? So again, each departments are different. So I used to be a graduate coordinator in the anthropology department. So for the anthropology, our incoming international students were eligible for TA-ships their first quarter. So again, each departments are different. Please talk to your academic home department to see what their requirements are.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Laura. Yeah, I think there is variation, so I do think it's always great to talk to your home department. And kind of, I think this sort of touches upon the next question, which I think a lot of this comes down to looking at your letter of admission or your letter of financial support and seeing what's included. Because there is a question here that says, can you talk more about the employment options for international students as part of their funding? And I think the first place to go is your letter to see what's being offered. But I think maybe Laura, if you want to chime in with this one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Take a look at your offer letter, because most offer letters will clearly explain your first quarter, you're going to be on a fellowship, so you don't have to hold employment, or your first year you have to hold employment. Everybody is so different. And so that's why we always say, please talk to your academic home department first, because they will be able to tell you specifically what does your offer letter state and what is your funding package.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that we have reached our hour. Unfortunately, there are a couple of questions that we did not get to, and I apologize. But we're on this slide for a reason. So be sure to check out the iNew Student page for information for incoming students. Please check out the GEPA website for information for new students. There are pages, I should say, the GEPA website has a section for admitted students. We also have resources related to financial support that's on our website as well. And I can put a link in the chat, but it is just gepa.ucsd.edu. So there's lots of resources that are available to you all. So my apologies if we did not get to your question. thank you so much to our panel for making the time to be here and answer questions and share such wonderful information with us all. And I think with that, Karina, is there anything you want to say to take us out?
No, but as Shauna mentioned, again, if you would like to connect more either with GEPA or ISPO, or again, I know we've mentioned graduate coordinators as well to kind of look more into your specific cases, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us after the webinar. And thank you all so much for being here with us this morning. We hope to see you back in April when we talk more about TA-ships and other topics as well. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.